Explained by the Meier contacts, mysteries, myths, legends, conspiracy theories, historical inaccuracies, and more. Compiled by David Chance, revised October 18, 2023.
Fatima Apparitions, Miracle of the Sun, Our Lady of F% C 3%, A1 Team, A Miracle of the Sun. See also Extraterrestrials, Giza Intelligences, The Baphoth. Contact Report 034.
I am now still further interested in a matter related to the so-called appearances of saints. I mean those phenomena that are in a religious fashion dressed up in a holiness, like for example the alleged appearance of a so-called saint, after which the dear humans at the location of appearance are then creating places of pilgrimage out of it.
You know very well that these phenomena are only personally generated visions or machinations of those power groups and those Earth humans who want to cast their spell over the Earth humans through the religious forms of appearance, and in others are caused by Earth humans through their exuberant religious imagination. This means, on the one hand, that the evil-minded extraterrestrial Giza intelligences, who want to bring the Earth into their power, cause such phenomena by projections or play such a role themselves, and, on the other hand, that Earth humans afflicted by the religious delusion send out their horrendous fantasy by their consciousness-based powers and cause such phenomena by projection or visually semi-materially. You have experienced it yourself several times and also produced such projections yourself several times. Also in the past, you witnessed such events when Asket brought you together with your friend into the past. You have experienced and recognized that the appearance of Lords was a projection as well as the fantasy figure of Satan, which you projected into your field of vision as a child by your own powers. And you also know very well that as another example, the appearance of Fatima was nothing else but the evil play of the Giza intelligences, who let one of their ships appear in radiant light, and then one of their female life forms appeared as the Mother of God, although they made the mistake that the woman remained in her spacesuit, and this was registered by critical observers.
Contact Report 036.
The events of Fatima actually trace back to these intelligences, as do many similar events. All we knew so far was that the Giza intelligences were responsible for all these events and that everything was done by Ashtar Sharan or by his command.
Contact Report 250.
Whereby the so-called supernatural, of course, does not exist in any way, because everything and everything is always naturally explainable and also naturally given. The supernatural exists only in the ignorance and the incomprehension of man, because he has no knowledge about all those things which he cannot understand and cannot explain himself. Truthfully, everything so-called supernatural is absolutely natural, and thus also classified according to the corresponding laws of spirit or matter, which are able to give an explanation for everything and everyone, whereby something supernatural becomes a fact of non-existence. Everything that can be grasped and perceived, everything that can be seen and heard, and everything that can be felt, recognized, experienced and experienced, etc., is always real and natural in every case, regardless of whether it takes place on a spiritual or material level or on a medium level between spirit and matter, which is so often called the level of the supernatural, or the supernatural by parapsychologists and esoterics who do not understand it.
A true word.
Statements are not actual prophecies, as it is generally so gladly seen, because often they are, so to speak, prophylactic warnings, if I may say so. This fact also applies to statements of other visionaries, etc., which appear in large numbers. Also religious fanatic and abysmal sectarian are among them, whereby particularly these are given in extremely threatening form, like for example also the 3 prophecies of Fatima, with which the third tells as it were of an end of the world with all worst horrors and atrocities and of unspeakable infernal agonies, which are to break in the second half of the 20th, or in the course of the 21st century over Earth and the entire mankind.
Contact Report 710.
Then I want to end this subject and hear from you what you have to say about the matter of the Giza intelligences, who were in reality the Earth foreigners, of whom there has been talk since time immemorial. So I have another question about Fatima, because at that time, on the 12th or 13th of October 1917, tens of thousands of onlookers in central Portugal were able to observe and witness a furious solar phenomenon. As early as the mid-1950s, Ascot told me that the whole thing had been arranged by the Earth foreigners, whereby Ascot also took me back in time to the exact moment when the event took place, which gave me the opportunity to observe the spectacle for myself and to realize that the alleged solar phenomenon had been conjured up for the whole crowd of onlookers by an Earth foreigner's flying objects. Nevertheless, Ascot, your daughter Simyase and I, at the 34th contact conversation, on the 14th of September 1975, foisted a misinformation on the public because we said something that was only half truthful, namely the following Circe Contact Report 34. And you also know very well that, as another example, the Fatima apparition was nothing but the evil machination of the Giza intelligences, who made one of their ships appear in radiant light, and then one of their female life forms appeared as the Mother of God. But they made the mistake that the woman remained in her spacesuit, and this was registered by critical observers. So it was said that the Fatima incident was something arranged by the Giza intelligences, but this did not correspond to effective correctness, for it was fundamentally only an evasive truth, the meaning of which was explained to me but concealed from the public. The explanation was that the whole truth could only be told when at a certain time in the new millennium all or part of the whole connections could be revealed, and would no longer cause any problems. The disclosure could be today, if we can talk about it now, as you recently said and explained that it could be in the month of September. So I think that now, with regard to the presence of the Earth foreigners on Earth, it should be explained that through them really abductions and so on, and also other occurrences have taken place. If you yourself would say some clarifying words about this, there would then also be clarity in this respect.
I can do that, but there is not much to explain, because for various reasons connected with the Earth foreigners and the black men, as well as with the U.S. and other secret services, we had to behave in such a way that we pretended to be uninformed, and our contacts appeared unreal from the point of view of the Earth foreigners, the black men, and all the various secret services. This could only be done by distancing ourselves from calling the Earth foreigners the originators of the Fatima phenomenon, for if we had done so, the insidious efforts of the dark men and secret services against you would have continued. But the threat of the secret agents and dark figures had to be prevented, which could only be done by deliberate misleading, and this also with regard to the Fatima event, which we misleadingly called the machination of the Giza intelligences instead of the Earth foreigners when it came up in our conversations. In fact, the Giza intelligences were also Earth foreigners whom we actually deported, but who were just as unknown to the Earth foreigners as we were to them.
The Earth foreigners, who are generally simply called extraterrestrials or aliens by the Earthlings, have in fact been around for a long time. They stayed here and worked in many ways, as did their distant descendants. But they have also been active on Earth for centuries and millennia up to the present day, flying around and in and out of the Earth, and are observed again and again around the world by the Earthlings, whereby the American continent is of particular importance in this respect. Their early ancestors worked in many different ways on Earth, and also in various countries in Asia, North Africa, and partly in Europe, but mainly in the early days in the North African country, which in later times was called Kemet, and then finally in later times Egypt, after which this name has been preserved until today. Your father Svath taught me during a leap in time into the past to the land there, where the Earth foreigners ruled at that time, whom he called long skulls and whom I have seen myself, that they had been on Earth for thousands of years. Because, in contrast to the round skulls of the human beings of Earth, they had skulls that were long and thickly protruding towards the back. They stood out unmistakably from the human beings of Earth just as other Earth foreigners did around the world, such as giants up to about 3 meters tall, half-small people with large and somewhat versus. Various such long skulls have also been found in modern times by archaeologists, etc., although to this day people still puzzle over what secret is connected with these skulls, which were not from human beings of the Earth, but belonged to Earth aliens.